our March 2026 demo day. I believe Alex will get us started here with a few updates to production and scheduling, a few other areas. So I'll hand it over to you, Alex.
All righty. Share my screen. So first thing that we'll start off with are some updates to the scheduling platform. We've now added support for splitting operations, so you can have a single operation on a work order that spans multiple time intervals. This is, for the web side of things, kind of an opt-in feature via WO control. There's this enable operation splitting in web. So the backend for Rover always supports this, and then just kind of in case you do or do not want to be making heavy use of this in the web, because it does affect some behaviors, you can opt in here. And so kind of an example of how it affects things is now if I go to drag a new operation onto the scheduling board, you get this prompt, so you can split it when you drop it onto the board. So gives you a little bit more control too over like exactly how long you want. You can kind of answer this prompt first, but then you can also make it span multiple days, and you can add as many of these as you'd like. I will go ahead schedule this for a little bit later. And now you can see we've got two time intervals for the same operation. Something else that you can do here, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so we can reschedule this and we'll get a larger block of time here, make this a little more visible. So we've got this scheduled, and you can see the grayed out area here, and that's for a non-working day. So if you have holidays or weekends or whatever blocked out, you don't want to allow scheduling of work there. We can see that this is kind of blocking out the weekend here. If you drag this over, you used to get a prompt that would say, schedule anyway or cancel. But if you have opted into splitting of operations, you'll have this third option of split the operation. So it'll actually go ahead and split the area that you've dragged over the non-working day off to happen after. So you can make sure that it stays lined up, but it will split over the non-working period of time. And we can certainly even go into here and we can edit the time intervals here as well. And there's another option here to split. So we've got multiple ways you can split if you would like. And again, this is an opt-in feature. So if you don't want it, you can just go to WO control and disable it. Moving on, we've got some changes to point of sale as well. So the first thing that we've done in point of sale is we've allowed changing of the drop-down button here when you've got orders selected when you want to ship orders to quick ship and detailed ship. It used to be just ship order and partial ship, but the reason for this change will become apparent in a little bit. But we've got some additional changes here around how these work. You've got now submission option. There's the quick ship and detailed ship in MRK control in the point of sale tab. And you can enable or disable either of these options. So if you only ever want to allow what was previously the partial ship, or you only ever want to allow the default quick standard shipping process, you can certainly do that. Or if you would like to change it so that the detailed ship is actually the default shown here rather than the quick ship. So if somebody just clicks the button, they will be taken to the more detailed form. You can control that. And there's now also an additional option here for additional ship info form. This is a list of forms def forms that are defined for the sales module. And this will allow you to, when you go into the now called detailed ship step, define additional prompts that you would like to have somebody answer, basically like a shipping header information or whatever you would like to have entered here. This is all controlled through that form stuff. So this allows a lot of flexibility and customization for different integrations or even different Rover systems if they want different pieces of information there that they care about while shipping. This is totally controllable from the host side and will not require any web updates if you want to change what goes here. I will note that this was primarily done for an integration with a non-Rover backend. So there's a little bit more work if we want to ship the order that's not currently supported by the current APIs provided by Rover, but that work will be underway. So that certainly can be done. And then an additional change made in point of sale. We will discard this and we will start a quote. Parts to the quote. Okay. So previously we did have, when you would open the cart, there was the option for sales orders to select additional fields that would be displayed here. And this is controlled in MRK control on the parts and cart tab for point of sale. So previously the sales order would have this list here. We've now added the same list, but for quotes. And so this will be additional fields that are on the SO quote file rather than the sales order file. And this will let you change what you view for additional information when you open the cart here. And so we can see we've got multiple new fields here that match what we've assigned in MRK control. And there were also some UI changes as well, so that kind of changes what fields are displayed at the top on the standard line versus what's displayed down below here. And that's more dynamic. So now depending on screen widths and things, you're not going to have to scroll. And also if your screen is wider, you're not stuck with only two of those additional fields up here while everything else goes down. So a bit more of a user-friendly experience there. And finally, one change that is not available yet, but is on its way. We received some feedback, particularly around the scan apps in web, where a user would click into a field, and particularly the quantity fields, I think, were the place where the most frustration was expressed here. But they would kind of click into a field and then they would start typing their number, and they kind of didn't know exactly where they were typing. And so you can see I'm suddenly typing in the middle of the number, and I didn't expect that to happen. We have now added a new setting in the user settings page called Select on Focus. And this will be default on for all users if it has never been touched or set before. So this is kind of an opt-out situation, but it will show as enabled when you first look at it. And if I were to go and save that and then go back to the scan, what this does is now when I click into a field, it will by default first highlight the entire field. So I clicked into the field once, highlighted it, I can start typing. My number comes out as I expected. I leave the field, come back, and it highlights it. If I did notice that I just made a typo in the middle of a number, I just click once more, and now I'm in the middle of the number just as I expect it to be. So hopefully a bit of a more user-friendly situation, and this kind of does mimic how Rover Desktop works in some ways. So that will apply elsewhere as well, but the primary, I think, area of concern for this was in the Scan app. So that will be coming soon, not with the release coming up immediately, but it'll be in the following release. And I believe that is all I have to share. If there are any questions.
All right, back to me. Let me take over the screen share. Alex mentioned a release. We do intend to do a production release this evening. So quite a bit of new functionality will be released tonight into production. The release notes will be sent out when that goes out. So I'm going to be previewing a few things that are not included in this next release, but are coming up. So a few things we've done here. The payment experience from customer inquiry and the accounting AR section has always differed from what we had in point of sale. Point of sale had a much more robust payment method where you could choose from different tender types. You were always limited to only credit card and ACH or e-check within customer inquiry and AR. So we've consolidated those payment methods and the components that are used for that. So now in customer inquiry, if I would go to invoices, and we'll pick a invoice that requires payment. So now if I select an invoice for payment, it looks very similar to point of sale. There was some feedback this morning that we may want to adjust the size of the tender buttons. So we might be making some adjustments there, maybe playing with colors there as well. But again, previously you were limited to credit card and e-check payments here, but now you have the ability to accept a cash payment or a check payment. And all of the same rules are in place here as they were in point of sale. This also exposes the ability to add discounts or modified discounts on the invoices as you're paying them. So this is within customer inquiry. If I then go to accounting and look at receivables there and choose an item to pay, we'll have the same experience here. So now the payment methods are all exposed throughout the application. Go ahead, Susie.
I'm so sorry, it must be a squirrel or a side note. If I'm in customer inquiry to go possibly pay an invoice? Cash, like cash to me is like a counter type sale, like cash in hand or a handwritten check. Is that,
Correct.
there must be some setting that allows that button to show up if it's set or if the user logged in correctly?
Right. So currently there are some controls that
Okay.
indicate which payment methods are allowed. And perhaps you're right. Maybe there should be a distinction between which ones show up in the various sections of the application. I think we had a non-Rover customer that was asking explicitly for the ability to pay via check. I think they
Okay.
also, sorry, go ahead.
No, so I'm sorry. So there must be a control record that allows those. Okay, thank you. That's what I was hoping.
Well, I
But
mean,
yes,
you're not going to
cash.
see,
Go ahead.
Susie, you're not going to see any of this yet because it hasn't made it all the way through, but this is effectively just opening up the payment entry in those other areas to be more like Cash.e in the desktop, right? So instead of being limited to credit card and ACH like you are right now, you have that function to really enter payments regardless of the tender type from the accounting and the customer's page, just like you have the capacity from point of sale. That just make sure we're kind of stating the intent of the change here correctly. Does that make sense?
I mean, it makes sense, but I'm just thinking how it like literally applies if I was using it either in a point of sale type of a situation or just in accounting. So, okay. No, if there's controls that, then that makes more sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, so generally just consolidating the ability to have all payment methods exposed in all of the locations that you can accept payments within the application and just making this a more streamlined, consistent experience. The next area touch on, again, back to customer inquiry, we've now exposed the ability to see payment history. So kind of the list of cash entries that have been created for this customer. So you get a table of those. You can download a receipt view of that. You can also email that cash receipt from here. My tabs are, oh my goodness. Clicked the wrong close there. Sorry about that. One moment. I tried to use Alex's fancy tab management and got out over my skis there, apparently.
I just love that you're skiing in Florida.
Yeah.
I would have figured that's more of an Idaho thing.
I guess you could do that with water skis too. I don't know.
Yeah. Watch out for the gators.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so back, payment history, you have the ability to download and view a receipt or email it from here. Again, this is just the payment history for this particular customer. Then if we jump into accounting, we're now going to be exposing payment history from here as well. There are some pending updates to add a little more visual UI to this card to include some more data there. That's still pending. We're working on that. So same general view here, just not customer specific. You have the ability to sort and filter all of that. And from here, we expose a detail view as well. We might expose this detail view from customer inquiry as well. At the moment, it's only wired up in accounting. So this is a new, just read-only, informational view of the detail for this cash record. So this is kind of the equivalent of going into Cache and viewing all the details for the cash record there. Any questions on any of that? Okay,